Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate that. Okay, here we go. Let's come back to here, keynote. Great. Okay. So we have the 4-part presentation practice framework. We're then going to do some presentation practice together. We're going to go into listening skills and questioning skills, which are really the 2 core skills of influencing people, building relationships, getting your projects over the line successfully, getting promotions, developing yourself in your career. It all comes down to great listening and great question asking. And then we're going to finish today with some further practice and suggestion of ideas around effective communication with senior leaders. Okay, so let's jump into this. Oh, what is that? Excuse me. Hang on. Oh, I see. It came up with the wrong slide. Actually, sorry. Okay, so the 4-part presentation framework. Is that not sharing?
It is sharing.
It seems strange. I'm not getting that green line around it anymore.
It's not on play, but.
Are you seeing just the screen, or are you seeing my whole computer screen?
No, just the screen.
Okay, it's strange. Okay, so in terms of preparing for an upcoming presentation, where to begin? Well, if you think back to what we talked about in the first module, what is the most important part of your communication? How do you decide what to say and what words to use and what content to put in there? How do you decide? What is the foundation of effective communication?
Target audience.
Absolutely. So we've got to start with the who. We've got to start with the, on the Shannon Weaver, they talked about the sender receiver. We've got to start with the receiver. So I want you to think about right now, take your pen and paper, and I want you to do a little exercise here. I want you to think about the next significant presentation that you're likely to give. Some type of monthly update or monthly presentation or team update or project update. But something that's more significant, not just a weekly phone call, but something more of a presentation. And I want you to write down the who. So who is your audience? Can you just write down their title? Is it a leadership team? Is it a VP? Is it someone else? So just write down the name of that person or that team. Okay. The next question I want you to practice asking yourself is this: what's in it for them? And this is a very different question to what do I think I should tell them or what do I think I should present? It's not that. It's actually what's in it for them. These people or this person is giving up some of their time to come to your presentation. What do they want to get from you? What do they care about? What do they need? It sounds very obvious, but it takes a bit of time for some people to really understand how powerful this is. What do they actually want? I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a presentation. Nobody wants a presentation. Nobody wants a presentation. Nobody needs a presentation. That's just a whole bunch of information on slides. They don't want that. But they do need something to help them get what they want to get. So I want to have a discussion about this and hear some of your examples. Can you please share who is your target audience and what is it that they want? What's in it for them? Lisa, please.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I chose one of the meetings. It was my initiative, but basically it was. I'm new in the company, so I cannot travel right now. So I've decided to do like a virtual visit.
Yes.
In one of the mills, and one of the things we're going to do is that I'm going to meet the management team in one of the mills.
Yep.
Through Teams, of course.
Yep. And
my goal was to get to know them and for them to know me, because we never met before. Okay, so it's like an introduction. but also I want to add some content into it.
Great.
Right?
Yeah.
To talk about maybe 2022, our challenges as a EMEA QA team and so on. But if I'm thinking what's in it for them, I'm thinking about why I want to do it. I don't know really to state what will be in it for them.
And I would say that is 99% of people.
Okay.
Yeah, I know why I want to, I know what's in it for me, right? My favorite topic, right? So I know what's in it for me, and I get to meet the management team, and I can build the relationships, and then hopefully I will have more influence, and hopefully projects will be easier, and hopefully this, and this is thinking about you. Turn this around. Put yourself in the shoes of the management team, and you now have this person, Lisa, who is asking for a meeting. Okay, it's going to take up some of my time. I'm busy. Oh, okay, but she's new. We need to do this. I understand. What's in it for them? What could they get from this? How does building a better relationship with you give them something?
Okay.
And a benefit to the business.
Benefit to the business, benefit to them personally is even more powerful. How can you make their life easier? How can you make their job easier? What, and again, I think did we talk about the two motivations of all human behavior? Did we cover that in the first session? I don't think we did. We'll come back to that. Moritz, who is your audience and what's in it for them?
Yeah. So good morning.
Good morning.
Sorry,
good morning.
About the, no worries. I wrote something down about our ZA agents, South African agents, because we do have constant meetings about the ongoing process. We elaborate throughout the year. And what's in for them is they need to have clear explanations as to what they're doing in order for them to carry them out properly. So to carry out the process properly, to understand why are we doing this and this, and how can I put this into force.
Okay, so yes, they need to have that clarity about how to do what they're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Okay. What would be even, I mean, I hear how important that is. What would be even better than that? Could you put, if that's the cake, could you put some icing on the cake to make it even better? Is there anything else that you could give them that is a real takeaway for them? It's a real added value for them. I hear clarity is there. What would make it even better for them?
The logic, maybe. I mean, now that comes with clarity. We need to think about that. I don't know.
Great. Please start thinking about it. It's a different way to think. Rose, for you, who is your audience and what's the nature of the presentation and what's in it for them?
So I have chosen the Wet Wipes Task Force, which is a monthly meeting with all the microbiologists and quality team, global quality team members throughout KC. So it's quite an important lot of people. I guess what they want is the pertinent information about wet wipes, if we're doing anything differently, if we've seen anything unusual and how we've reacted to struggles, etc. So they just want the facts, really. And
why is that important to them? What does that give them?
It gives us quick information about what we are doing here at this site and how it might affect them, how they might change their practices.
Okay, so they would use this information to perhaps change their practices.
Yeah.
Okay, which would then give them what? Like, why would they want to change their practices? What's in it for them to change their practices with this new information?
Potentially better business practices.
Okay, so how about then, again, titling this presentation, information to help make your, to improve your business practice, or to make your business practices even better, or something like that. You see where I'm going with this? What we want to try and do is present this as this is all about them and what it's going to give them. And if better business practices is like, oh my God, yeah, we definitely want better business practices, I would actually make that the title of the presentation rather than quarter one data update on what we've been doing.
Yeah, okay.
Are you with me?
Yeah,
That's not very appealing, is it? It's like, okay, Rose's quarter one update on the stuff we've done. Fine. Okay. It's some information. But if it's in terms of, key insights that will help you to, make your business process even more robust. already people are going, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ready? Yes. Tell me. You see where we're going with this?
Yeah,
So it's about
definitely.
presenting everything that you're doing for your audience rather than just for yourself.
Yeah.
Zola Lee, good morning.
Good morning.
Tell us what's the presentation? Who is it to? Who's your audience and what's in it for them?
Okay, I've got here because we've just got our objectives coming tomorrow. So my audience is the mill. So by the mill, it's actually everyone from operator to the mill manager.
Okay, operator to the
that's in terms of the audience, and then in terms of what's in it for them, I think it was a bit of a struggle. That is it what's in it for them or what's in it for me, that I think by them understanding it, it's going to make my life much easier. But I think I looked at it from the perspective that this is objective, so we're making you understand how you're going to be, what you're going to be driving for the rest of the year. It's got clear guidelines in terms of it's 1 to 3, and if you do 1 to 3, then that's going to be the result, and then you would have met your KPIs. So I looked at it from that aspect.
Okay, so then again, just putting this out to the audience, what could then be a very engaging title of this presentation that Zola Lee could use that makes it more, that really speaks to her audience?
It's always the boring one, team quality
It's
objectives
very
2022.
Ah,
I understand. So what we're trying to do is to change the boringness and make it actually more appealing, to give it some zzz.
Maybe the creatives can come up with something, but I honestly can't think of anything that would just make it to be.
Okay, we have some. If we're going to talk about stereotypes, we have some eyes in the group here. Eyes are well known to be fountains of creativity, right? So you know, Zola Lee's going to be presenting, talking about KPIs and the information that's necessary for people to hit their KPIs. How could she title or talk about that in a way that it sounds more interesting to her audience?
What about starting from the supplier, consumer perspective? Changing it. I'm sure we'll be talking about complaints and
the usual way.
Yeah, the usual ones. What about starting a bit differently from the consumer perspective, showing two sides of the coin? One is how great we are. The other one is where are we still challenging, and then go deep into the, and it will make the connection between, and it needs to be with photos, maybe with the words coming from the consumer mouth, I would say, which you can probably get maybe from, I don't know if it's maybe too late, but get from the consumer team. And show them that how we can impact by doing whatever you're planning to do this year on the consumer, like bringing them more to the end game, I would say. Very satisfied consumer, but start with it and not end with it. Then maybe it can bring them more. Just an idea.
Zola Lee, what did you hear there?
I think it's more, I'm not so sure if I'm on the right track, but I think it's more around start with the exciting stuff to draw their attention. So customer centric, how did you do? Where did you do well? These are the pictures. And then you sort of get into the hang of things. You've already created the excitement around, you know, how great we are. This is what we did, and this is the impact that we probably had in the market, or we had in the targets for the past. But then you get into what the crux of your message in terms of what you want to drive for the current year.
Which is
that's how I got it.
I think you heard it very well. That's how I heard it too. Lisa, great suggestion there. Again, versus, okay, guys, here I am. I'm going to tell you about all the problems and where you're short and where performance is not good enough and where quality is not good enough. Let's begin. And it's like, There we go. So again, we're focusing on the audience. How is it going to land for them? What's in it for them? What's the benefit they can take away from this? Okay, let's just keep. Yes.
I just want to share you my video with regards to the same topic that Chloe is going to do. You can create it, but I've already done it, delivered, but I can always learn. How can I send the video to you?
Where is it? Do you have the actual file or is it uploaded somewhere?
It's on my phone, but I can upload it.
It's on your phone. What size is it? Do you know?
I can check, but it's not big. It's less than 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, you can send it to me by email. That would be great.
All right.
Yeah, please. Okay, so coming back to this, you have your audience, you have what's in it for them, right? Not what you think you should tell them, but what do they actually care about? What do they want? Now, I want you to imagine you've just delivered the presentation. It's complete. Now you say to them, any questions? And I want you to write down what you would bet. If you were going to bet money, what are the top 5 questions your audience are going to ask you? Right? You know your audience, you know your topic, you've just finished the presentation. What do you expect will be the top 5 questions they will ask you? Please write those questions down now. So I would say to you, there's probably only about 10 or 12 types of questions that really ever get asked after a business presentation. So let's just explore some of these. Obviously, there'll be different topics, but the theme of the questions often is very similar. So you've just finished your presentation. What do you expect some of those questions will be?
What do you need from me?
Key question.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter whether you're presenting to a junior team or senior leaders. What do you need from me? It's a very common
And
question.
what do I need from you, basically?
Exactly,
So
the
it's
other way around.
what do you need? What do I need from you? So what do you
How
need from
can
me?
you help me?
Yeah. Support. Let's say it like that.
Well, so yeah, but what I need from you is probably more about something that you would be presenting rather than that they would ask. Yeah, certainly. What do you need from me is a really common question. What else? Other questions?
When is this expected to be done?
Key question.
Yeah. Timetable.
How can we improve the results?
Great.
Like, how will the future looks like? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Resources, perhaps.
What will it
Who's
cost?
going to do it?
Yeah.
I just hope that the question will not be what is the purpose of the presentation.
That's really not a question you want to hear, is it? Like, why did I just listen to this for 30 minutes? Okay,
Yeah,
another
I
key
know we've
question.
reached the six. I was gonna say they like to know historically who has done this. And have we learned from history?
Yeah,
A
something like
benchmark. But
we
this
can
is something you
benchmark
need to
from
place. You need to
benchmark
place the
from, yeah.
benchmark in the presentation.
Yes,
So
yes.
then,
If you missed it, hello, it's
yeah,
something
yeah,
they
yeah.
would want. Yeah.
Basically, we don't know. We don't want any questions, right, Tim? We want to
Yes,
answer
you
everything
don't-
during
Or
presentation.
tal. In English, we have an expression called "Don't steal my thunder." Do you know? Do you have that in Hebrew as well?
Yeah, yes.
No,
But
no,
this
no,
is
we
my
like it.
personality. This is my personality, Tim. You don't have it.
You stealing my
No.
thunder.
No, we like it. I like participative.
More questions. Come on, common questions.
Which is gonna be the benefit from me, for my business, for my organization.
Yeah.
Oh, we did speak about history, but what could go wrong in this?
I was just about to say, I was going to ask Emil, because he's very suited to this way of thinking, which is, what are the risks? What could go wrong?
Yeah.
Which to an I type sounds very negative. Like, oh, risks and problems. Why are you talking about this negative stuff? But to a C, it's like, no, this isn't negative. This is pragmatic.
When do we start?
When do we start?
Or when do we finish? You know, basically, there are people who.
Yep.
There was a question for timeline. When is it expected? I think.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else? Is there something here about where is this data from in terms of the quality, the validity of the data? Is that ever challenged? Like how can we trust these assumptions and data?
Yeah. How did
the
you
background?
Get the
Yeah, we missed that. Yeah, the background of the story.
I think that was my first point was challenging the data.
Andy, great. There we go. So again, are you CS or SC?
I am S.
Oh no, you're S. That's right. Again, you're S on this, but again, that way of thinking, very much C, isn't it? It's like, right, just first things first. Like, how can we trust this data? Yeah, spot on. Okay, so I want you to react to what I'm going to say next, as if you didn't hear anything that Ortal said. Right, here is some pure gold, right? Think about this. Put the answers to these questions in your presentation. Because ideally, if you're not speaking about these points, well, what are you talking about then? Because this is what your audience actually wants to know. Okay, how much will it cost? What's the resource? What's the timeline? What's the ROI? I mean, probably that's what actually we said, benefit impacts. Okay, so yeah, I'll put ROI in there as well. This is what your audience actually wants to know, right? These are the questions that you'll always get. Okay, what's the next step? What's the risk? Where could it go wrong? How do we know the data is right? What do you need from me? Okay. You might have spent 30 or 45 minutes talking about your presentation and you haven't answered most of those questions. So what were you talking about?
Stuff that interests you?
Yes. And often if you are talking about, many of you, some of you have got engineering backgrounds, many of you have got scientific backgrounds or project management backgrounds. So you'll have to talk about what? Come on.
The detail.
You like to talk about the detail. You like to talk about the process.
Numbers.
You like to talk about the how, right? So, we put the diesel into the engine this way and the diesel comes down into the engine. The pistons go up and down and it creates this explosion, which then drives the And maybe your audience wants to know, does the car come in red color? And you're explaining the engine, right? And then we got this, and then we come through the crankshaft, and we got this piston. The pistons go up and down like that, and we've got this new metal in the engine, which is now doing that. Yeah, does it have air conditioning, right? And can we get it in black, right? So actually, we get stuck in the process. And I used to do this a lot as a coach. I would talk to new customers, and they would say, Tim, tell me about your, well, they wouldn't even say, tell me, they might say, tell me about you and your business and how you can help me as a coach. And I would go into all this detail about coaching psychology and neuro-linguistic programming and emotional freedom technique and timelines and how you can change elements in the brain and how it all works. They're not interested. I don't want to know how this works, Tim. I just want to know, does it work? When can I see you? How much does a session cost? What results can I get? Right. And so often we fall into the trap of explaining so much how, and senior leaders don't have the interest or the time for that.
But they do need to know why.
Yes, I would agree. Much more than how.
We need to start with the why, because once they don't understand the why, they will lose interest, right?
Yep. Yep. Why are we doing this? So again, so it's really capturing that early in your presentation. What am I here to present about? Why am I talking to you about this? And when you say why, really the next question is, what's in it for you? That's the why, isn't it? We're talking about this, and as my audience, this is why I'm presenting to you about this, and this is what's in it for you. So let's come back to the model here in terms of how you're preparing for your presentations. So we're starting with, always start with the audience. As soon as someone says, look, I want you to do an update, give a presentation, your first question has to be, who am I presenting to? Who are these people? What do they care about? What's in it for them? What are the questions they want to really get answered from this presentation? We could then move on to the presentation itself. What is your key message? And I would recommend that you have a single key message. Maybe you have 10 slides to present, but what's the key message for this whole presentation? Can you articulate that in one sentence?
Sorry again, Tim, please, I didn't understand.
Yes, so having a key message. So if you were going to, let's say you have 10 slides, could you capture a message that sort of covers all of this whole presentation in one sentence? That's your key message.
Yeah.
And if you have 3 key messages, they will remember it even less. If you have 5 key messages, it's even less. So really we want 1 key message. And even then they'll probably forget that in a few weeks, right? But it's keeping it simple. Start with your key message, deliver the presentation, return to your key message. And people can remember this.
Yeah.
In terms of the information you put on your slides, in terms of the information that comes out of your mouth, less is more. How many of the presentations do you give? Do people say, oh, could you please give me more information and more data? And how many times do they say, oh, that was a long presentation and you gave me so much information and I'm not quite sure where I was supposed to focus? Now, they probably don't tell you that feedback, but often that's what I'm hearing. In terms of timing, how long would you normally have for your presentations?
An hour.
An hour?
Maximum of an hour.
No, shorter, 30 minutes.
Sometimes 30 minutes, sometimes an hour. Let's say you have an hour. After how many minutes should you aim to complete your presentation if you've got 60 minutes with your audience?
45.
I would say 45. I would say 40. I don't think it would be bad to finish at 35 or sometimes even 30. If you have half an hour, I would encourage you to finish your presentation by 15, 16, 17 minutes. Why?
Questions might be asked during the position.
Exactly. And that's where the real influencing happens, right? You're presenting information on the slides that can be useful. Hopefully your slides, we're going to talk about slide design. Hopefully it's well presented. It looks easy to look at for the eye. But really, when you're in terms of influencing people and personalities, it's this. question, discussion, open. And if you've got an hour and you're doing 55 minutes, 56, 57 minutes of presenting, tell, click. Okay, any questions? Quickly, right? Disaster, right? So when you hear the presentation time you have, automatically take off 40%, right? Oh, you got 30 minutes. Okay, I've got 20 minutes. Okay, and then you're closing it then in 20 minutes. So then you can have that discussion. There's questions. There's going to be things that you didn't include. There's going to be new issues, new opportunities to explore. If we then go to number 3, in terms of the slides themselves, I would encourage you to keep your slides simple, especially if you are presenting to senior people. Simple designs. Lots of space. Notice this slide here, there's lots of space around the slide. It's not pushed in together with things on top of each other. And in terms of how you design your slides, I would absolutely recommend that you use bullets, that you use an animation or a build as it's called, so that the slide is appearing what's called on click, right? And I'll just show you, I'll demonstrate what that means. Before we get into that, let's have a look at some slide design principles. Okay, there we go. Those are the questions we just did. Okay, so question for you. Which company is regarded as the king of the internet?
Google.
I would agree.
Google.
No. Yeah.
What is it?
Simple.
Logo, and that's it. Logo.
Simple.
And
Here we go. This is a company worth almost $1 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have enough budget for the best designers in the world. Why does their homepage look like this? Why don't they have, clever holograms and things happening and woo and lights and Google?
Simplicity is the best application.
Accessibility.
Okay.
No, focus, I think, not to get confused with everything.
Okay, not to get confused. Right, let me just have a look at this. I don't have an image, so I'm just gonna go and jump on it now. Okay, so I've just jumped here to a different one. This is msn.com, where you have a different experience. Here's their homepage.
Oh,
Ah.
yeah.
What a
Lovely.
mess. What a mess.
How clear. How lovely. Look at that. Nice and easy to digest. Right, and there's your search bar there. Okay, so great design is simple and spacious and pleasing to the eye. Your slides should not look like that. That's a real slide that I got from a Harvard. It was on the harvard.com website. Here's one from the NHS in the UK. This is just a slide somebody was using. Oh, wonderful. Look at that. Nice and clear, easy to follow. And as I bring this up, I'm going to talk to you as you're trying to understand it. I'll just keep talking to make it easier for you to understand. Beautiful. Great. So when you present this, this is not a slide. What are you wanting the audience to do when you show them this? Like, what's the hope here?
That's as a point of referencing, maybe. Like
a point of referencing. Okay, so I bring this up to the screen and then I keep talking to you about the thing. Now, what are you doing?
Trying to read it.
Yes, but I'm talking to you, aren't I? So what are you also doing?
I don't listen.
Yeah, well, no, but I'm trying to help you understand. So I'm going to explain it by talking.
But you put it in front of me, so now I'm really focused.
Yeah, well, no, because yes, I'm going to make it easy to show you the text and I'll talk at the same time. And then that'll make it a lot easier for you to understand. And here's another reference point about promotion strategy. And of course, my opinion of promotion strategy, oh my God, what are you doing to your poor audience? What do you want me to do? Do you want me to read or do you want me to listen? I cannot do both. Nobody can do both. There's not a CEO on the planet who can do both. But we create these monsters. I mean, look at that. There you go. That clearly, this is a real slide. This is a real slide from the PA consulting group about the Afghanistan stability coin dynamics, right? And I know what you're thinking, Tim. You're thinking, Tim, this type of slide design crimes don't happen in KC.
Ah,
really? Okay. So, look at this beauty. Now, when you put this in front of your senior stakeholders or your colleagues or whoever, and you talk, what are they supposed to do? So here at Epping Mill with the load shedding impact reduction proposal, as you can, we've been talking about this for about 36 weeks, and we've got a sort of 6-week appropriation preparation. And our aim would really be to maximize the output capacity using the existing generator and turn it into reducing the recovery time of the load shedding. What are you trying to do now as I'm talking?
Read.
Yes, you're trying to read, but I'm also talking, right? Because I'm trying to help you understand by explaining all these things. You can't really listen to what I'm saying because you're trying to read. You can't really read because you're listening to my voice. So this is not a good slide. I think what this could be useful for would be a pre-read.
Yeah.
Right? So this is like a handout, that you would send somebody as a pre-read and they could read this. But if this is what you present, you are causing confusion and you're causing disengagement. People are switching off because they cannot make sense of a slide like this while you're talking.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to fundamentally think about approaching your slides differently. Impact is short. That means short words. It means short bullets. It means no paragraphs. It means, if anything, just a shorter single sentence, even better, a couple of words, even better, an image, which you can then talk about. And that's a presentation. A presentation is you presenting ideas, not you reading a slide, and not your audience reading a slide while you talk.
I have a question.
Please.
If you've got a lot of information that you want them to be able to get to afterwards, is that something you can say, hey, I'm going to send these slides out. There are some slides at the end with the raw info on. Or could you send them as a separate email? Like, how do you make that available?
Either and both. And also, if we think about weaving this into personality types, the C's on the call are going to want that data, right? They're going to
say, because I get presented with a PowerPoint with just a picture on it, and I'm like, this means nothing to me.
No, I get that. So for example, then what it might be, for example, using your screen capturing software, right? Just the simple things of just capturing something on the screen. Let's say we were looking at accounts, right? And you've got sort of revenue coming up here, then you've got all the operating costs, and you've got da-da-da-da-da. Maybe the key thing that people need to see is the bottom line. So then it would be about cutting out that bottom line. And maybe there's one other line that's important. So cutting that one out as well. Click, click, that's your slide. But what people do instead is they'll take the whole spreadsheet. Now it's tiny font, can't even see it, and put that on the slide. Click. No one can even read it. And if I can read it, where am I supposed to look? And you're talking about that, but I'm reading down here. And then you've said that, but I didn't. Oh, do you mean this? And people can't follow. And then you lose your audience because the slide is so complex. So the whole thing is about who's my audience? What do they care about? What do they want? What's the purpose of this slide? What's the key message of this slide? And how can I just show the key message rather than show 9 things plus a key message hidden in there somewhere? Right? Because people just don't have the energy to remove all that noise to find the key message. You have to put the key message in front of them. Bang, here it is. And people go, oh, okay, I get it. Thank you. And it literally is thank you, because you've removed all the noise. So you just give me the key information. Thank you.
Yeah. And then if they want the info afterwards, you can always send it to them more.
And again, in fact, it would probably be good to say that at the up front, because otherwise those people who are very information focused will be thinking, they'll have noise in their head, won't they? This is too simple. This is too simple. What about the data? I don't have the data. This isn't the full picture. Are we going to get the data? I don't have the data yet. She hasn't mentioned the data. And if they have that noise, then they're not really listening to you so much. So I would say, starting off by saying, this is a high level overview. We're going to focus on this, this, and this for these reasons. And all the extra data, appendices and everything, I will send to you as a PDF or as a whatever. You can download it here. Yeah. And I think that works so well.
Okay, cool.
And then just to finish off here, just for example, if this is 5 tips for a great presentation, if this is what you wanted to present, Obviously, we're not going to put this on the slide, okay? Because again, this is a handout. You could send it to somebody as an email, but this is not a slide. So let's strip away the text. Let's add an image, and let's have these key points here. Now I could talk about each of those points. That's much more of a slide to present. If there's a key message that I really want my audience to get, I'd make it even less content and just say this. Oh, where's my slide gone? Where's my slide? Oh, sorry, I put one in the middle. Okay, excuse me. Let me come back again. So yeah, so we can have this, but if there's a key message that I really want to show, it would be that. Can you see how much more impact that has than this? And how much more impact this has than that?
No, nothing is moving.
Oh,
Nothing's changing.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Let me try again. Okay, there we go. So can you see now? Lisa,
Yes.
can you see now?
Yes.
Yeah. So again, going from this to that. So again, less is more. And I'm not saying that every slide should look like this. I understand you've got lots of information you need to convey, but when something's really important, give it its own slide, right? Don't have it in one corner of one busy slide because people won't see it and it doesn't have impact. Give it a whole slide, and that will really make it stand out. The other thing is, well, if you have a very busy slide and you have to show multiple bits of information together, make sure that everything appears on click. Excuse me, because yeah, we talked about this, right? We talked about it's called the redundancy effect, which is if I put words on the slide and you're reading them, plus I'm speaking, so that means you're listening to what I'm saying, the result is that you don't really process or retain either. So if you have lots of text on the screen plus talking, 1 + 1 = 0, and people don't really take away much information at all. So that's why having a build is really powerful. If you remember back to module 1, we talked about the Shannon-Weaver communication model. And we said, in any communication, we have a sender, click, and we have a receiver. Now, as a sender, you will write an email or send a text, you're encoding your information. Click, next click. As a receiver, you are opening the text message, you're opening the email, you're listening to my voice, you're decoding. Then we talked about there is noise. So for example, I've got noise in my head. You've got noise in your head. There's noise around us in a public environment. How do we cut through that noise? As the receiver, as the sender, we want to focus on the receiver. As the receiver, we want to focus on the sender. And again, as the receiver, I'm going to encode my response back to you, and you're going to have to decode that. This is how communication works. What would happen though if I presented the slide this way? So this is the Shannon-Weaver model, and you see we have a sender and a receiver, and the sender has to encode the communication, the receiver has to decode. And of course, there's noise in my mind and there's noise in your mind. What's happening now?
Sorry, is it working for anybody else? Because mine's stuck on the same slide. I
can't believe you've just told me that. Okay, thank you. Guys, if I'm talking and things aren't moving, please tell me sooner, right?
I was trying to look out and I couldn't tell that you were saying click, and I was thinking, is he actually clicking when he's saying
click? Right, okay.
I wasn't sure if you actually got
Let me try closing this down. Maybe that's going to make a difference, right? Hang on. I'm going to just restart Keynote. Okay. Go back to here. Let's try this again. So guys, do you see that? Talk to me, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So again, if you remember this slide from module 1, we talked about sender and receiver, and I'm telling the story, right? Then we talk about encoding, we talk about decoding, and then we discuss that for some time. And then I click again, and then we're talking about noise. We're talking about noise in my mind and in your mind and the receiver's mind. And then we're talking about focusing on the receiver rather than focusing on yourself. And then the full model, the receiver would then also be then focusing on you, because they're then going to encode their response, and you're going to have to decode what they're saying. What would happen if I brought up the slide like this? And now I start talking about the model. Sender, receiver, encode, decode, noise in my mind, noise in your mind. It's too much information.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's telling that story, having your slides build step by step, because at the moment now, all you can see is sender, receiver. You can't jump ahead. You can't get lost. There's nothing else to get lost, and I'm sort of leading you through the journey rather than you jumping around in front of me or behind me. So make sure that
try to move slides because we're still in 26. Yes.
Oh, really? Is it not moving again?
Mm.
What is going on with this? I don't understand. Sorry, guys. I've obviously got some technical thing happening today. That's frustrating. Right. Look, we're about to have a break anyway. Let's just come back to the final point here. Do you see this? See this now? So we've got audience, presentation, slides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Final one.
Yeah.
Asks and outcomes. What are you asking your audience for? What will be delivered by when? And I think it's always useful to re-summarize the benefits, the ROI to your audience. So this is the 4-part preparation framework that I use when I'm designing a training or a presentation. And we're going to have a break now, but we're going to come back and I want you to practice this, and we're going to do some exercises to put this into practice. So let's have a break now. It's now 10:13 UK time. Let's come back at 10:23, so 10 minutes from now.
Speak in a bit. Thank you.
All right, see you in a bit. So, from that last section that we just went through, let me just bring this up here. I'd like to ask each of you, what's your biggest takeaway from that? What's the biggest, or the new thought or the new idea that's the most valuable for you?
So probably in the audience bits, who am I presenting to? What's in for them rather than what am I doing for them?
Great. Matthew, for you?
I was thinking the same thing, to be honest, because I tend to go for all of the details. So I would be the explaining everything. So for me, it's the same thing, which is actually what are the key, I suppose, bit of audience and presentation. So what's the key message for the audience?
What's the key message?
Yeah, and not getting distracted by everything else that I'm thinking about. So
yeah, great. Who else do we have? Sarah, haven't heard from you this morning. Good morning.
Hey. I think for me, definitely the presentation, because I tend to put in, I think, way too much detail because I'm trying to kind of preempt any question that someone might have.
Yes.
So I think
let me just put in everything.
Yeah. So I think for me, a kind of really key thing that's come out of this is actually make the presentation itself very kind of simple, and then just have the data as almost like appendices to the presentation that I can flick between if anyone asks for it.
Great. Key takeaway. Emil, for you, most valuable takeaway from this approach?
I think simplifying the message and the slides themselves. So less data, just like as you said, one key sentence for the presentation is best. Yeah, what's the key? And again, we talked about having a slide, something like this. You know, you could put the key message as a slide, right? So the key message is this about this, or this about that, or if we do this, then we can get that. That's the key message. You could even copy that slide and put it at the beginning and at the end of the presentation, because repetition is powerful. We have short memories, bad memories, so we need repetition. Andy, for you?
Yeah, very similar, I think. I think the main message is to shorten the presentation. So I'm terrible for stacking loads of data in presentations to try and probably overcomplicate the message or sort of prove the points that I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
So I think the takeaway for me is to simplify that and probably just have the data as backup.
Yes. And it's a key thing you said there. You know, often we use data as almost like a shield. You know, most people feel nervous about presenting. And so we go, well, if I just put that there, it'll protect me, right? You know, I can sort of hide behind all this data. Yeah. And again, we talked about in module 1, your slides are not your presentation. Your slides are your slides. Your handouts are your handouts. Your attachments are your attachments. You are the presentation. All right. So you are the person who's bringing this information to life. And I would say for 85% of people, certainly at KC, 90% of people I've met and coached, it's the same feedback I would give to them, which is just less information, less content, less slides. Extract from those slides the key message, the key numbers, the key metrics, the key whatever. But that's your preparation. Your preparation isn't trying to create 45 slides, so you've just got huge amounts of data. The preparation is, how do I take 45 slides and bring it down to 6? And that doesn't mean squeeze everything down to font size 10, right? That's not that. That's not the solution. It's about having simple, spacious slides with a key message. Now, let's say, hypothetically, okay, Tim, I followed your advice and I removed this and cut that out and and I took it just down to this. Now, let's say you do that, and then one of your key stakeholders or audience says, well, something you didn't have in the presentation is that. Can you tell me about this? Does that mean you've lost points? Does that mean you failed?
No, but of course you need to have you need to know everything and have everything prepared. It shouldn't be on the slide.
So I would suggest that if you think there's going to be certain personas in the audience who are going to ask you for further details, you then have to decide, is that detail in the interest of everybody to go into that detail in the presentation? Or is it's a valid question and that information is important for this person and I will send it to you straight after the presentation? And you have to make a decision based on the needs of the majority of those people, or maybe the needs, or maybe it's seniority. Maybe if this is the most senior person and he or she is asking for the data, maybe you do that then and there. But even then, we're trying to think about what is of interest to most people and what's relevant to most people and being selective with that information. Let's say they ask you, well, actually, what about the answer to this question? And you don't know the answer. You don't have the information. You don't have the data. You don't know.
I will check and come back to you.
It is okay not to know.
Yeah.
It's also, it's more than okay. It's actually very human, right? It's, and it's like, and also you can put a bit of sugar on it. You can say, that's a great question. You could also say, no, you can't say this with every answer. Oh, that's a great question. Oh, that's a great question. Oh, that's a wonderful question. That's an amazing question. Right? You can't use it too much. But again, sometimes, or sometimes, for example, they will say, oh, what about blah, 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 blah. And you could say, that's a really good question. I've never been asked that question before. And that's very flattering to that person. And probably if it's the type of person who is asking you this question, technical question, probably in there somewhere is their ego as well, that they want to sound very clever and very intelligent and very advanced. So, okay, they have an ego, put some sugar on for their ego. It's a really good question. I have not been asked that question before. Let's take that offline and I can catch up with you later this week. Done. On to the next slide.
I want to raise a concern.
Please.
So maybe it's only for me, but when we're preparing a lot of meetings or attending meetings or leading meetings and preparing a lot of presentations, sometimes you don't really have enough time to prepare it properly. Okay, so you need sometimes, manage your schedule and time. And sharing more information helps you to not forget what you want to share. Okay, so just one sentence can maybe it's good enough for a message, I accept.
Yeah.
But you do need maybe sometimes more in order to help you to present what you want, so you won't forget. I think this is the challenge always. When I mean, everything you presented here makes sense. It's the right thing to do. But then, you know, you need to manage your time and make sure you don't forget what you want to say. And this is, I think, the challenge.
How do you, like personally, Lisa, how do you do that now? You have huge amounts of information, lots of things to present constantly to lots of different people. How do you do that? How do you manage, how do you know what to say?
Well, for me, it's not easy. I need to write in the presentation topics I want to, you know, you're able to do that, to write notes below. So you can make sure you covered everything. But when you're starting to talk and explain and share the view, your view, then it's difficult to go back to the notes and catch up everything you wanted to say.
Yes.
So I think the main challenge here is to have enough time for your own preparation to share the right things to your audience.
Yeah. And again, I hear what you're saying about having the presenter's notes, and then when you present, often those notes, then you can't see them anymore. I think it's possible if you have a dual screen setup, but it's quite complex to set up. For example, on those slides, I would encourage you to use the bullet points like here. So to add these bullet points to whatever slide you're presenting. So let's say you have this graph you want to, I don't know, there's something here that you want to talk people through. I would then have separate bullet points appearing somewhere here, 1, 2, 3, 4, if those are those key questions or the key points, so that you're not having to remember it. The whole thing is that we don't want to be relying on our memory. We know that doesn't work. And also, yeah, like going into presenter notes is tricky. So if you do have some specific questions, how can you even just put one word there that's just a reminder for your one? You know, you click and you might say timeline. You say, right, so one thing we need to discuss is the timeline. Next click, it says resource, or next click, it says whatever. So use your slides to support you rather than thinking, I have to remember all of my slides and try to be one step ahead. That's too stressful. And again, but like you said, it takes time, right? But so again, at the very least, just putting simple questions or simple one words or two words that appear to prompt you, to remind you, so that you have that memory. Really though, the key thing about this is that presentations don't influence people, I don't believe. Well, they a little bit, right? But what influences people much more is this. So I'd like you to get into the habit of showing the screen as I'm doing. I bring up the screen, discuss something on the slide, and then kill the slide, and then come back to this and talk. That's far more powerful. So let's go into an exercise now. And I want you to shape this as well, because I haven't decided what type of exercise or what type of content it's going to be. But this is what I want you to do. So I want you to prepare 2 slides from scratch that you will deliver to each other. You're going to have 10 minutes to prepare these 2 slides, so roughly 5 minutes per slide. Then I'm going to give you 5 minutes to practice your delivery to yourself. So you'll have 15 minutes in total. Okay, so basically you'll be by yourself for 15 minutes. That 10 plus 5 is 15 minutes. We're going to then bring everyone back to the main room, and I'm going to put you into groups of 3. Right? And then you're going to take turns as a 3 to present your 2 slides to each other. And what I want you to do is actually present it. It doesn't mean talk about your slides. Oh, this is why I put this here, and here I'm going to speak about this and that. No, that's talking about your slides. I mean, actually, I want you to present them to each other, presentation style. What I haven't decided yet, what I want to hear from you is, what is the topic? What would be what is the useful topic for you to practice? I want it to be something useful.
Does it have to be the same across all of us?
No. But just call out some ideas. What's a topic that would be really, the focus isn't the topic. The focus is preparing the slides and delivery. Okay, and we want slides that look spacious and on click and is engaging. Maybe you can find some images to put on there. But that's the real focus, is the slide design and the delivery. The content doesn't really matter. Do we have some ideas, though, of content?
Dinosaurs.
Occasions.
Are you referring to senior leadership in KC? That's
No.
not polite.
Just kidding.
Well, look, it could just be some random topic, but I think it's probably better to do something related to your team. I mean, for example, it could be a 2-slide presentation for somebody who's just joining the team. Right? It could be like an overview to your team and who we are, what we do, how we're going to work well together, something like that. It could be a 2-slide high-level update of a key project that you're in the middle of doing. And you've got a senior leader who does not want the details, but he or she just wants to have some give me a two-slide update on this deal, on this project. Okay. Is anyone like just thinking, I have no idea what topic to choose, or do you all have some idea of what you can do? Yeah.
So can we pick from those two that you just
mentioned? Choose from those. Yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
So you're going to create 2 slides. The goal is you want these slides to be engaging to look at and engaging for your audience, not too busy. Once you've designed those 2 slides, I then want you to practice just delivering it to yourself. So practice, chest voice, gestures, click, 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 and talk. Then we'll get everyone back here after 15 minutes, and then I'll put you into groups, and then you will practice delivering to each other. If you have any questions.
Kim, I missed out. Any specific topics?
So, for example, it could be, let's say you have a new member of your team, and it's like a welcome, two slides to welcome this person, who we are as a team, what we do, what your role will be, how we work well together, for example. Or it could be a high-level overview of a project that you are doing, and it's like just 2 pages to summarize the project for the benefit of a senior leader. It doesn't matter what it is. You just choose a topic.
Oh, it can be anything. Okay.
Yeah, it could be anything. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
If you have any questions, so I'm going to put you into just an individual breakout room. So you're going to be by yourself. You won't be joined by anyone else. So you can just think by yourself. If you have any questions, reach out, send me a message, and I can come and talk with you. Let's just have a look here. Create. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes. Add one more room. Sarah, I'll move you to room 14. Cool. Okay, ladies and gents, see you in 15 minutes. Any questions, just send me a message. See you soon.
I could ask Moise, how was I?
Could you ask? Yeah. Well, would you do that? Would you ask for feedback?
Yeah, I did it separately. I had like few members. They gave me, yeah, you were right. But with that feedback, you never know.
Ladies and gents, welcome back. So you all just presented to each other. What was that experience like for you? You created something very quickly and you presented it. What have you learned from this?
First of all, that we can.
It is not as complex as we think it is, right? Oh my God, I have to create 2 slides. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared for this. Actually, I need to put about 3, 4, or 5 words as a bullet point on this slide and some nice pictures. And let those words just remind me and speak about 30 seconds to each one of those words. It's great. Emil, what was the learning for you?
So I was unable to produce slides in this time frame. That's also
unable.
That's also
Tell me about how you are unable. Your mouse is not working?
My mouth is working. I can talk.
Your mouse.
Mouse.
My mouse. No, it's operating normally, but there are other issues which are not technical.
Okay.
Yeah, I usually need more time to consolidate the idea and
Oh yes,
and deliver. So
we've heard about your deep computer. Yes, we know this.
I can do some. It's like you give me a too short time frame. It's the computer
No,
does not
I know
compute.
you would need a couple of weeks to prepare this. Just
No.
Emil,
Not
come on.
weeks, but it's like 30 minutes to think about it, 10 minutes to execute, but 10 minutes to do both, impossible for me.
Impossible. Apart from 15 other people who just did it. Right?
Needs practicing.
Yes. Well, that's what we're doing here, right? Okay, again, because the C in all of us is like, no, hang on. I need to create a plan and a structure, and we need to do research, and I need to verify the information, and I need another year, right? It's like, but sometimes in business, people go, look, I need this afternoon. I need this tomorrow. And we're like, oh my God, I can't do it. Actually, if we let go of that need to be totally perfect, and we think about the audience, and we just think about what do they actually need to know, what don't they need to know, what does the slide need to talk, bang, bang, and you can create that very quickly. Other learnings. Olga, for you, what was the learning for you for just having done this exercise?
For me, it's still difficult to understand audience needs, really. I present what I want to present. Spoken
like a true D. I'm not interested in an audience. I'm just going to present what I want.
So, and it's difficult to keep very simple information on one slide. So for me, I still have a lot of information on one slide.
And can you also see now how we hide behind busy slides? It's like a protection. I'll just put another graph on there. I'll just put some more data on there. I'll just chuck, oh, what else? Oh, can I find, oh, just stick it onto the slide. There we go. Look at these beautiful slides. Well done. So actually, the real skill is reducing. Then you have to think. And like to what Emil was saying, it's true. Like, you know, I think it was Mark Twain. He said, I was going to write you a short letter, but I didn't have time. So I wrote you a long one instead. I was going to write you a short letter, but I didn't have time. So I wrote you a long one instead. It's a lot easier to write a long letter, isn't it? We just turn on the tap and we go, and it's just, right? But a short letter or a beautiful slide is like, oh, hang on. Okay, so we'll do this. Oh, no, I can remove that. Okay, do I need that? That takes some thinking. So actually, it does take more brain work to make a simple slide. So then why? Because I'm asking you, you're already busy people, and I'm asking you to spend more time on these slides. You don't have enough time. Why not spend less time? Why not just copy, paste, dump it on the slide, done? What's the return on investment for you to spend this extra time to really think about your slides and to remove things that aren't necessary and shorten your sentences and add certain graphics that really help to, why? What's the return on investment for you?
Attention.
Number one, people are actually going to start paying more attention. Give me another reason. Yeah. What's another return on investment? Sarah? I can't write, sorry, just to be clear.
To make your knowledge more credible to your peers.
Makes your knowledge more credible because people can see it when you've put some thought into this rather than, you've just copy and pasted some whatever information on there to show that you've actually been thinking through it and you've reduced it to what's most important and relevant to your audience. What's the other benefit of that?
Engagement, maybe.
Engagement. This is made for us. Wow, she's actually thinking about us. This is a change. Everybody else, they give a presentation about them and their team and their needs and what they think and what they want and what they care about. And this person is actually talking about our team, what's in it for us and our numbers and our targets and our challenges and how we can solve these problems. Oh my God. So already you've got people who are more engaged and they're going to be more likely to be positively influenced by you. So for example, if you need to ask this team for something, oh, sorry, someone's calling me. If you need to ask this team for something, they're going to be more likely to agree if they can see that you've really focused this presentation and designed it for them. Because already they can see that, wow, you're actually trying to support me. Questions, thoughts, comments?
No, I don't think so.
When are you next going to be practicing this? It's a practice. It's like playing the piano. You have to get back to get in front of the piano to get better. When are you next going to do this?
I actually need to build a presentation for Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, so I need to now rethink everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same as Lisa. I've got a presentation to give in the morning, and I was just going to regurgitate a presentation that I'd used before because it's the same data that I'm presenting, but I think I'll go back, review it, and kind of make it more supply chain rather than quality focused.
Great. Great. It's these changes, right? And again, this is definitely more work. Let's be honest, it's more work, right? And you're already busy, but this is more work. But
yeah,
it's thinking about what's the return on investment. And maybe you're not going to do this for every presentation, but for your key stakeholders, for your senior leaders, you know, you want to impress them, right? Of course you do. You want them to be like, wow, I can see you've put work into this, and this is just the information we need. And we didn't, instead of spending 1 hour, maybe you could finish it in 25 minutes. Instead of 25 minutes, maybe you could do it in 10 minutes. I guarantee you, your senior leaders will be like, thank you. Thank you for spending less time. They're not going to say thank you for filling the whole hour. No way. Thank you, because I just didn't have anything else to do with this hour of my life. So thank you for filling it with all this information, most of which I don't care about. No one ever says that. So again, if we bring up this beautiful slide I got from somebody in KC, if this was the slide that you are going to, if you previously presented this slide, what would be your suggestions about how to make this, how to change this to make it more engaging? Just in some of the design principles, what would you recommend that we do differently?
I'd probably use the bits that are underlined as bullet points, and then just kind of give the key information around those elements.
Okay, so we've got current situation, impact reduction proposal, scope, approach, project outcome, project timeline, financial investments. I mean, for example, that's a good use of a graphic there. We've got these key points here: capex, migration saving. Those are the key numbers. This is, I don't know what that's there for. What is anyone going to do with this? Meaningless. So that's just noise. And again, having it on build. Oh, and I wanted to just show you one thing. If you have an image that's completely fixed, maybe this is a PDF, right? And you, for some reason, it's something you have to present, but you know that it's too busy, but you can't edit it because it's a PDF. What you can do is something like this. You can take a box, get rid of the line. So I've got a white box here. And then you can go to an animation, and as a build out, let's say disappear. So for example, then when you launch, you could then talk about this, but hide that. And then when you click, it then appears. Are you with me? So if you, and this is probably not a good example, but if you had a slide where you just have loads and loads of information, but you want to try to break it down so that people are not jumping ahead, you could do something like that. Okay, I'm just going to do it rough and ready like this. So for example, if you have an image that you absolutely cannot change, and now I think then you could go talk about this, blah, 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 talk about that, talk about this, and talk about that. Okay.
Just so you know, Tim, it's not showing us any animations.
Oh, Santa Maria. Right. Oh my God. Look, you didn't see that, but I can just guarantee it was amazing, right? If you, I mean, you just have to trust me. It was mind blowing, right? I mean, you would have been so impressed. Okay, there we go. So let us have a 10-minute break. We're going to come back and we're going to get into listening and questioning skills. All right, so let's have a break. See you in about 10 minutes. Great. So starting with this, tell us your thinking just behind what you chose and why you chose it.
So I wanted to keep it fairly clear, clutter-free, but I also wanted to be quite bright and engaging and inviting, but also have things to look at, but things to call to when the bullet points do come up. So there's a bit of evidence, a bit of the broader picture, but it's kind of an overview rather than a I'm going to go through everything in detail with you situation.
Yep.
And the two key messages in this slide is welcome and this is the team that you sit in. So yeah. So the two areas was to basically go down the line. So to simplify, which was Paul. So Paul is at the top of this. He's, you know, top of the chain. Bring it down to the next line. So we've got, you know, the area you're going to sit into. And then finally talking about you, which is, this is where you are. Yeah. So I do like these organization charts with pictures because it kind of gives, you might not have met people, but it kind of gives you an idea when you can kind of see faces rather than just names. It's kind of prepares you for when you are going to be in calls with people. So you can kind of familiarize yourself beforehand as well. But yeah, keeps it visual, but 3 key points, which was simply the team itself.
Great. And you've got the 3 key points appearing on click, so I can't read ahead of you. Fantastic. And the next slide.
So next one was talking about, okay, let's talk about you. So again, trying to find pictures that were relevant was difficult and short notice, so kind of went off piece with it.
Well, you went to our dear friend Mr. Google and you found some.
So yeah, so your role, so what are you doing? So supporting, so calling that out, what that means, explaining, you know, what the quality management system is, avoiding using the acronym at this stage of QMS.
Great.
I know I did use it on the previous slide, to be fair. So, but yeah. So again, what the next kind of piece of what your job actually entails, so what you're helping the business, and the broader aspect of, you know, ensuring quality and talking about everything else. So it kind of works steps through. So the quality management system that affects more than one people, how we're helping maintain compliance, and then also then introducing the fact that those people we've talked about involved in the quality management system, you're going to be working with them as well. So introducing that aspect to them as well. So yeah.
Matthew, thank you. Audience, I just wanted to see an example of what someone's created in 15 minutes. What do you think? What's your feedback?
I really like it. You actually gave me a great idea how to start my next presentation with the team.
Yeah.
Very engaging.
So, yeah.
It's engaging, isn't it? It's friendly, it's fun to look at, great images. Now, does the child holding a heart, does that really relate directly to the topic? Well, not directly, but you know, even just having that image, it's a positive, it's a nice image, and it's engaging. So these are the principles here. Not, you know, perfection does not exist. It's just taking some principles here. What's the most dominant color on this slide and the other slide?
White and blue.
White, yes, and we want white to be the most dominant color always, right? Unless you have black slides, then it would be black. But the point is, there's lots of space. It seems very calm. I feel calm. I'm guessing the team is quite calm because this feels calm. So, you know, it's creating an emotional experience rather than just a logical one. Matthew, great job. If you could stop sharing, that'd be great. Okay, now I hope my slides are going to behave. Right, we're now going to get into building better relationships. So with your stakeholders, with your end customers, or whoever your stakeholder customers are within your business, The two key skills are what we're going to cover right now. And I want to start with a quote here. This is a quote from Stephen Covey. He's the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Oh my gosh, is this sharing? Can you see that quote now?
Yes.
You can. Okay.
Yes.
God, I'm so nervous. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my stuff today. Okay, so, sorry, this quote. Next to physical survival, the greatest need of a human being is psychological survival. To be understood, to be affirmed, to be validated, to be appreciated. So we have a psychological need for this. We have a physical need for oxygen and water and food and shelter. We have a psychological need to be understood. We have a psychological need to feel affirmed and validated and appreciated, whether you are the junior member of a team or the CEO. As a human being, you have a need for these things. Whether you're a grandparent or a grandchild, you have a need for validation and appreciation. What's one thing that we can do to help another human being feel understood, feel affirmed, validated, appreciated? What can you do for them?
Give them feedback.
Well, we love to give feedback. We don't often like to get feedback, but we often give feedback. Yes, and that could be useful. There's something even more immediate that we can do.
Support them or ask maybe.
Yes. There's something even more effective, even more powerful. Somebody comes to you and they've got a problem.
Listen.
To actually really listen, to really actually listen to people is a skill. Now let's think about this. What's everyone's favorite topic? We know that it is themselves, right? So that's everyone's favorite topic. It's Paul Dove's favorite topic. It's Tim Robbins' favorite topic. It's Olga's favorite topic, right? Her targets, her results, far more important to her than anyone else's results or targets, okay? And so as a good communicator, we recognize this, that everyone actually wants to be heard. People want other people to listen, but most people don't listen very much. Everyone's talking, most people aren't listening. Now let's think about listening for a minute. Why would you listen to another person? There's only really two reasons. Why would you listen? You're listening to me now. Why?
To learn.
The first reason would be to learn something. Maybe you need instructions on how to bake a good cake. You're going to listen to somebody to get some ingredients, okay? Or a recipe. What's another scenario where you would listen to somebody very carefully, but you're not, the primary reason isn't to learn information. You're listening for a different reason.
To answer.
To answer.
Because you don't trust on that person sometimes, and you are not convinced about what he's speaking about.
Well, if you're not convinced, that's probably because you're listening more because you want to learn more about what he's saying. So it's probably still learning there.
To respect.
Yes. So what would be the purpose of listening? It's not primarily to learn. If the purpose is respect, what's the if the motivation is respect, what's the goal of listening in that situation?
Connect, maybe.
Yeah, to build the relationship. Now, for example, if your friend has just had some very bad news, or they lost their job, or they lost something in their life that's very important, they're very upset. And they come to you, they go, oh God, this has happened. It's so bad. I feel so bad. What do they want? Do they want advice from you? Do they want you to tell them what to do? Do they want them to say, oh, it's okay, don't worry, because tomorrow's a new day? No, they want you to listen. Not because you're trying to learn some clever information, because actually when you listen, that is respect in action. I want to tell, I want to give advice and opinions and positive this and that, but actually I'm going to push that down. My ego, I'm going to push my ego down and do this for you, my audience, because I know that when you're listened to, it feels amazing. Now, if we think of levels of listening, if you absolutely don't listen to somebody, you could say you're ignoring them. Now, obviously it has a big consequence socially. If you ignore somebody, it's like a punishment. But maybe somebody's being very inappropriate or rude, sexist or racist. You would just say, okay, I'm ignoring. I'm not even going to listen to this person. what about a level above that where you're not really listening, but you are pretending to listen? we all do this, right? You know, we like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Until you ask a question.
and then you hear, you go, oh, that was a question. So could you just repeat the last one? Now, if you are in a long-term relationship, you have to develop this skill. So what is selective listening? Moritz?
Selective listening. Good question. I mean, selective listening. So I would say I'm just listening to what I want to actually listen to.
Correct.
That's a bit mean, isn't it?
Well, it's very mean, but we've got 8 billion very mean people on this planet who are all very good at selective listening.
Okay.
So on the weekend, I want to do the expensive restaurant. What? I heard that. What's expensive restaurant? What? What do you mean expensive restaurant? What expensive restaurant? So that's selective listening. Now, if you're really focusing on somebody, a colleague, a friend, your partner, your children, if you're really focusing on them, you could say actively listening. That means all the noise in your mind, you are turning down the volume. My list, my to-dos, my inbox, my this, my problem, that's down, and I'm really focusing on the other person. It takes effort and energy. It's possible, but it's hard work. There is a level of listening above this. Any idea what this could be? Here is a clue. Active listening, you're using this. The level above, you're using this. And women do this better than men. Most women do this much better than most men.
I don't know the proper technical term for it, but I would say emotional engagement.
You're in the right ballpark. You're in the right ballpark.
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's a kind, yes, it's a kind of assimilation, but it's more this than this.
Contemplation.
How should you say it in English? So you are. Let me define the word.
I will give it to you. Yeah, this is empathic listening.
Empathetic. Like identification. It's like I'm empathize with your feelings. I'm empathize with your point.
Yes. Yeah. So for example, if you listen just with your brain, you can understand the data. Okay, you lost your job and you're very scared and you're worried. I understand. But I'm not feeling any of that. Right? I'm not putting myself in your situation. I understand the data. You lost your job and you're scared and you're worried. I get it. Yeah. Versus if someone's sharing and you're listening from your heart, it's like, oh my God, you must feel terrible. You must feel scared. Tell me more. Like what's happening, right? You're sort of putting yourself in their shoes and there's an empathy there. Maybe you didn't lose your job ever in your life, but this person did. You can imagine what it's like. You're trying to connect with them. So emotions are showing up in humans all the time. And if you can hear the emotion in somebody and listen for that, it's like the gold standard. I can hear that you're frustrated. I can hear you're worried. I can hear you're excited. I can hear you're relieved. It sounds to me like you're conflicted about this. Yes, exactly. I'm conflicted. I don't, maybe 50 this and 50 that. I don't know what to do. If you're listening like that, people feel so valued because you're really listening. So let us jump into an exercise. We're going to practice this. Hopefully this is going to share nicely. Okay, so just a quick summary here. You're not listening if you are waiting for your turn to talk. That's not good quality listening. You're just waiting for the other person to breathe. And then you go, oh yeah, you jump in with your words. If you are getting defensive because you hear their words like an attack, you're probably not listening. You've already put up the defense. If you're being insensitive and you just disregard their point of view, they're not right, I'm right, they're wrong, you're not listening. And if you're jumping in to interrupt or finish their sentences, you're not listening. So we're going to practice some listening. There is 2 rules to good listening. Ortal, what is the first rule to good listen, to how to listen? What's the first rule?
So the first one will be to be focused and to be fully engaged to the conversation.
Yes, and to do that, you must not do what?
Nothing else. Unless you are multitask like me.
Oh, a multitasker like you. You're one of those people. Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no. But seriously, when
so, what's the
you're
first rule? What's the first rule of good listening? How to Chuma? What's the first rule?
Attention.
Chuma, what's the first rule?
What's the question again?
What is the first rule? Oh, were you not listening?
He didn't ask by accident.
Chuma, I'm not listening. Chuma, have you got your emails open? Have you got your emails open? Be honest, please.
I'm guilty, yes.
Oh, Santa Maria times 2.
I forgot to switch my video off. That is what I...
You forgot to switch your video off. This is appalling. Oh my good Lord. Right.
Sorry.
What is the first rule of how to listen?
Okay, it is looking at someone, I guess, looking into them.
You don't have to look, because I can listen to you on the phone.
Maybe engaging, like asking a relevant question or showing you are interested.
You could start with that, but once they start speaking.
The first, yeah.
Turn off the noise.
Stop your noising. Yes, I think stop your noise.
Pay attention.
But nobody knows you have a noise.
With your mobile.
First rule is don't talk. do we see that on the slide there? I don't know if that's appearing yet. Hang on, let me just put this here. Do you see that?
Yeah.
First rule is don't talk. You're not talking, the other person's talking. After some time, you're going to hear them say something, and maybe you agree or maybe you disagree. So what are you going to want to do then?
Talk.
So what's the second rule?
Still don't talk.
Don't even think about talking, okay? Because you're going to think about, oh, I should say this, and I could tell them this, and I should, and we're going to want to jump in and talk. And as soon as you talk, you take the spotlight away from the other person and you put it onto yourself, your favorite topic. It's very kind of you to do it, but you are not their favorite topic. So,
sorry, Tim.
Yes.
Tim, sorry to break. Moise was just sending me a message saying he can't join because there's power cut in his country.
I don't accept that as a reason. That's not valid.
That's what I was reading.
Tell him to be more optimistic. No, that's a shame. That's a shame. Wow, he's kind of okay. Yeah, there's a power. What can we do? There we go. Circle of concern. Okay, I'm going to put you into breakout rooms in pairs, and you are going to practice listening to each other. Let me just have a look here. 1, 2, 3. Sarah, I will move to a new room. Okay.
Tim, please include me in a group of 3 because I am having lots of problems with the connection. So every time that I join to the breaking rooms, I disconnect. So
actually,
in order that the other person will be alone.
There isn't a 3. Yeah, there isn't a 3. So maybe I will put you with Sarah. Is Sarah still? Sarah, could you try partnering with Yolanda just in case? Oh, actually no, but then it would leave. Like we'll just see what happens here. So here is the exercise. A and B, 2 people. A, I want you to complain. I want you to moan. I want you to talk about a problem, something that's frustrating you or irritating you or annoying you or stressing you out. Does anybody not have something that stresses them out in their life right now? Okay, hopefully. So you have a topic, and I want you to have a moan and a complain about this topic for 2 minutes. Person B, you're going to practice active listening. And there's 2 rules. Don't talk and don't think about talking. Okay? So to clarify, if you're person B, can you ask questions? No, because that's talking.
No questions.
Talking. No. Can you start talking about yourself? No, that's talking, right? So you are there to listen for 2 minutes, okay? 2 minutes. So person A, you have the spotlight for 2 minutes. That doesn't mean you have to speak non-stop for 2 minutes. You could speak for a minute and then breathe and think, then speak some more, right? You have the whole 2 minutes to yourself. That's your time. And person B, you're not going to be able to speak, but you can show that you're listening, okay? So show, like non-verbally with your body language, show you're listening, but you can't talk. So I want you to really actively listen to that person. Okay. We're going to run it one way, and then we're going to come back and just talk about the results. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes. So basically, person A, you'll have 2 minutes to talk. And after 2 minutes, then you've got 1 minute just to have a debrief little conversation. And how was that for both of you? All right. See you in 3 minutes.
Did you want me to go in a breakout room with Yolanda?
Well, I'll just move you into the one that she's in. Would you mind?
No.
She's with Olga. Oh, Sarah Cartwright. Oh, no. Okay, Sarah Cooper. Here we go. Move to room 4. If they're all good, then you send me a message and I can pull you out.
Got the recording on. Just.
Feedback, please. What was your experience? Andy, were you listening or talking then?
I was listening, and I did want to jump in and say something a few times while Rose was talking. I managed to stop myself, but yeah, and that so I found it quite challenging. You know, I could sit and listen for 90 seconds, 2 minutes, but then I felt like offering something back.
And on the other side of that experience, Rose, what was it like for you having someone who was listening and not jumping in?
Oh, well, I really, really struggle to talk about myself. So Andy's extremely empathetic. So having someone give me that much focused listening, I'm not used to it at all. It's very, but yeah, you were great at it, Andy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And there's a lovely compliment to feedback, right? And if we think about in our society, listening is so valuable, we pay for it by the hour. Like if you really want to be really listened to and really sort of get a sense of someone understanding you, and maybe even they understand you so much that you can understand yourself a little bit better, you've got to find a coach, a counselor, a therapist, a psychotherapist, and they are trained to listen. They are trained to not interrupt, to not just throw advice at you and to talk about themselves and blah, blah, blah. They are trained to stay there with you. And it's so good. It's so valuable. We go, I'll see you next week. So, thank you for your time. And I'm paying for this. And I'll see you next week. So when we talk about listening, sometimes people say, oh, I was with them, but I just listened. I just listened. There's no just. Just makes it sound small. As if the real value is when you talk and when you tell and when you give advice. Yes, there are certain situations when that is valuable or really very valuable, but there's so many opportunities when we could actually practice listening to people rather than trying to transmit. I can hear someone in the background. Who's got someone talking in the background? I guess someone who's in an office. Zola Lee, tell us, who are you practicing listening with?
I was with Moritz.
Okay.
And I think we felt the same way, especially around the fact that you can't be moaning and bitching for like 3 minutes. Oh, sorry for my strong language. For 3 minutes straight. I mean, when the person is just saying, okay, right, yeah, it's not a conversation, and it feels like this person is like, can you just get over with it, you know, that kind of thing. So we felt that like it really depends on the circumstances. For instance, if it's a virtual call and the person is doing that, you would feel that maybe this person is busy sending an email on the side or something like that. But maybe when it's a one-on-one conversation, it's probably a different, you get a different feeling to it. But that's what I thought, that, you know, here I am, I'm high on top here somewhere, and this person's like, okay, right, is it? And then, you know, when you are there, you also want a person that is going to, you know, kind of understand that you are at that level.
You're wanting someone to empathize with what you're feeling.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah.
Well, we all want that, right? If I'm frustrated about something, I can't believe this is happening. It's the third time it's happened. I don't want somebody going, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, Right. It sounds like you don't care. So actually, we need to practice the empathy. So if someone was very frustrated and in a session, often people are very angry or it's very strong emotions. So they're very upset. They go, oh, I can't believe this. And my manager did this again. And I'm just sick of it. I said, yeah, no, I really understand that. Tell me more. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, something like that.
And I'm showing with my face like, and tell me more. And what else? Right. So I'm not just saying, I'm using some words, but I'm not going into the trap. There's two traps where we fall into when we try to listen to somebody, but we fall into these traps. So let's think about this. Your colleague, your boss, your husband, your wife, your partner, they're telling you something, right? About their day or about their whatever. They're telling you something. What are you most likely to start doing in terms of your response? You want to listen, but they're telling you about a problem. What are you more likely to do?
You want to offer solutions.
Aha!
I mean, why are you telling me your problem if you don't want me to help?
Exactly. So is that appearing on the slide? Do you see that on the screen? I have to ask now because I'm not sure if anything's appearing. Is that showing?
No, it's showing the don't talk, don't think about talk.
Oh, gosh. Okay, try that again. All right, hang on. Let me...
Something with the play doesn't work. Maybe
I think it is something with Keynote, which is the Apple equivalent of PowerPoint. Here we go. Let me just see if this makes any difference. I've already submitted a ticket to Apple because I want to get it fixed. Okay, here we go. So yes, so first trap we fall into. Do you see that now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Great. Yes. So I say to somebody, oh God, I had a really bad journey to work. I was stuck in this traffic jam for 20 minutes and I got so late. And they go, yes, well, you know, tomorrow go a different way. Don't go the same way tomorrow. That's my advice. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I couldn't work that out myself. That's brilliant. That's an absolutely brilliant idea. And thank you. But actually, I didn't want advice. I just want you to listen. Now, another thing, another topic that you love to talk about, if it's not advice, what's that? Oh, I got stuck in this horrible traffic jam today. 20 minutes. I was late for 20 minutes.
I did too. You know,
oh my God! You think 20 minutes is bad? I got stuck in a traffic jam for 1 hour. Oh my God! Now, let me tell you about my traffic jam. So I was driving through London, and I can't believe it. And we do this all the time. All the time. And we think we're listening because, oh, she's talking about traffic jam, so I'll talk about traffic jam. No, you're not listening. You're transmitting. And listen to your conversations with other people. You're talking about a business thing or a personal thing, and they hear one word that they can connect to, and they start talking. Lisa, what's one of the best places like on holiday that you visited? Where have you visited that you really love?
Vietnam.
Vietnam. That's interesting because I used to live in Thailand, actually, which is right next to Vietnam. And I lived there for like about 8 years. And I thought it was great. And I really missed the Thai food, and the Thai culture is fantastic.
You stole it, thunderstorm.
How often do we do this? We hear somebody say one word and we go, oh, I know something about this thing. I have to tell you. Stop talking. I will tell you. Nobody cares. No, nobody's going to be more interested in your story than their story. Right? So I invite you to use this psychology consciously. Right? Everybody's favorite topic is themselves. Everybody wants to talk about themselves and not listen to you so much. Recognize that. Ask people about their favorite topic. Practice your listening. practice. Actually, then the next thing we're going to practice now. We've got a bit more time. The next thing, how can you absolutely prove to somebody you are really actively listening? Because you could be a very good pretender. And you're thinking about cappuccino or something, right? But you're not really. How do you absolutely prove you're listening? 100% prove it.
Ask questions about what they're saying.
Yes.
You can ask questions that are, there's probably two ways to ask questions, relevant questions. And if you're not going to ask a question, what could you do? And this is something that coaches and counselors do really well.
Summarize.
Yes.
Yeah, repeat. Yes.
Summarize. Okay, this is such a key skill. It's so simple that people miss it. So let me just see if this launches. Hopefully this launches here. Okay, so it's very rare that people do this in normal conversation. If you listen to people, most people don't summarize. It shows that you are deeply listening to that person. It also signals that you care about what they are saying. It also signals you care about them. It provides the other person with an opportunity to reflect. When we hear our own words come back to us, you would have thought, well, there's nothing new. That's just the same word. So why is there anything new there? But it's interesting. That's why coaching works and counseling works. You say something, somebody repeats your words, and you go, yeah, actually, now I hear you say that, it makes me think something else. So it creates additional thoughts and insights. And also, obviously, it confirms whether you really do understand or not. Can I just summarize? So what you're saying, this is the problem. You've tried this already, and this is what you're looking for now. Is that right? And either you get this, yes, absolutely, that's it. Or you get this, yeah. Which is not really. You didn't really understand. You missed something very important. How do you confirm this? You could use any of these words. You know, something like what I'm hearing is, what you're saying is, what you're telling me is, and then to really confirm, did I miss anything? Okay, so what I'm hearing is, so what you're saying is, okay, what you're telling me is, It's so rare that people do this. But when you do it, it creates massive trust and rapport and respect. And again, if I'm trying to sell my services, I'm self-employed, I'm constantly trying to sell to new stakeholders in KC or other big businesses, and they're telling me what they want, they're telling me what they don't want, I'm listening, I am summarizing, and I'm feeding it back to them constantly. And either I get this response, yes, that's it, exactly, or yeah, that could work. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't get everything. Could you tell me again? Right? And it's so, so powerful. So we're going to practice this now. So person A, hopefully, person A, you can hopefully see this. A, I want you to speak about a challenge, a work challenge, something in your team, something with the project, for less than 2 minutes, under 2 minutes. B, no talking or asking. I want you to just listen. Pay attention to key information, key words. Is there a certain phrase that they use or words that they use? And once they've finished, I want you to summarize what you've heard. And my top tip here, don't interpret their words. Use their actual language. So if they say this problem is top of mind, right? That's an expression, it's top of mind. I wouldn't say, so this problem is very important to you. I would say this problem is top of mind, right? I'm using their language. If they say this thing is quite frustrating, I won't say this is quite annoying. I will say this is frustrating for you. I'm using their language. That's how you get the absolute, yes, that's what I mean. So we're going to practice active listening plus active summarizing. Summarizing means you're just picking out the key points and feeding it back to them. Right, any questions before we jump into this? Right, I'm going to put you in different people with different people. Do you all have a challenge that you can talk about? Yolanda, you have a challenge?
I have a challenge with the connection.
Yeah. Okay, that can be your topic. You can talk about the challenge and frustration of your connection, okay? All right, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes, okay? So 2 minutes to summarize, and then actually, that's right. I'm going to I'll give you 7 minutes. I want you to go both ways in 7 minutes. So both try this. Talk about a challenge and then actively summarize, and then the other, and then please swap. Okay.
Okay.